Hey, everybody. So good to be back with you again. Something started 10 years ago when I was researching, kind of trying to understand just basically what chronic illnesses are. And oops, before I go any further, um, I want to say that many chronic illnesses besides mine have fatigue as a symptom. And I've said this in other videos, but I just want to mention it again that if you just look at fatigue medically, that means that rest doesn't help you. So that means there's nothing you can do. I don't like things that tell me there's nothing I can do. So I used a concept I learned in the 90s called reframing, where you take the problem and rephrase it in some way or look at it from a different perspective so that you get some options. And basically, fatigue is a lack of energy. It's the same thing, it has the same character to it. You're tired, you don't want to do things, you have brain fog. So I'm using those sort of interchangeably. All right. So, as I said, about 10 years ago, while I was doing my research, I read a book written by a nurse who wrote a book about chronic fatigue syndrome. And she said something about you need to learn to save energy. And I was like, well, and then I was looking at some comments on the book, and another woman said, I don't know how to save energy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't either, but I'm going to figure it out. So, the best place to look to save energy, and we're not talking about saving it up in a bank necessarily type thing, but we're talking about freeing up energy for other things that are more fun and interesting, like making YouTube videos. Anyway, it's really good to start with your daily routine because those are things you do over and over again every day. So any savings you get, you're also repeating over and over again. And I'm going to use two examples. The first one is like millions of Americans, I make coffee every day. And I put different things in there, and I have to use a spoon to stir it up when I'm all done. And one day I just really didn't want to go to the effort of opening the drawer. And I know that may sound a little crazy to people who don't have chronic illness, but believe me, you can get that low on energy where you're really debating, can I do this or not? So I decided to take my spoons and put them into something that I kept on the counter. So that first day, I saved that little tiny bit of energy where all I had to do was grab a spoon instead of open a drawer, find the compartment, retract the spoon, and close the drawer again. Well, in 7 days, I had saved myself 7 times of doing that. And in a month, I had saved myself 30 to 31 times of opening and closing that drawer. If you imagine doing that all at once, that's a lot of energy. And at the end of a year, I had saved 365 times that I didn't have to open that drawer. And I think we can all agree that standing in front of a drawer and opening and closing it 365 times would be kind of like a marathon for your arms. Um, and it uses up way more energy over that period of time. So that's where you get the savings is over time making these little changes because we don't really usually design our routines to be energy efficient. They just happen. And my other example is socks. I like socks. I have lots of different kinds of socks. And I used to just keep them all in one big drawer in this tall dresser that I had. And that meant that I had to get out of, if I was in bed and I wanted some socks, which my feet get cold in there, I had to get out of bed, walk the short distance to this dresser, pull open that pretty heavy drawer, and hunt for the socks that I wanted. So I made a little change in my routine where I got these little upholstered storage cubes that you can sit on, and I put those along the end of my bed. And I was sitting there one day and I realized that I was staring at another dresser that was right there. All I had to do was reach out, and it had three smaller drawers. So, again, it's not a lot of energy, but over time that adds up, not having to do that. And the other thing about socks, my grandmother taught me how to fold socks like this. And these socks were designed, if these were in the covered wagon going over the prairie, the whole wagon tip over and everything would be crushed, but these would still be fine. I mean, I play indoor catch with my grandchildren with these because they're that bouncy. So this is not a simple matter. And then one day I'm like, why don't I just fold my socks like everyone else? Just fold them over with the tops down or stick one inside the other. And you get that same gain over time. The energy you're expending with the easy way versus the energy with this complicated way. And it's not much each time, but over time, you're really going to make some good gains. So I'd love to hear from people if you come up with a different way to do things. And I'll even give you a little bit of homework and say, just once you think about it, it's probably going to present itself as a thought like I had with at the drawer. How could I get rid of this? So good luck with that. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next time.